writing variables is very important, not just for C++ programming language, but any other programming language that you will encounter in the future. Writing the proper variable will help you a lot when it comes to writing programs. So if you have any questions or clarifications, make sure to share it with the class. You can click raise your hand. Yeah, raise hand on your Google Meet, or you can also send it directly here in our Google Classroom. Oh no, Google Meet rather. And is there any way you can turn on your cameras, guys? So I can see you. Those who are not saving or those who are having unlimited internet, can they turn on your cameras? Flash and Taro. Okay. Okay. Thank you. So just keep your cameras turned on all throughout the class so I can see you. Especially those who are katong wala ka save ka na unlimited internet. Thank you, guys. All right. So just a review. We've discussed in our previous meeting that was 2 weeks ago, because last week was our midterm examination. We've discussed about variables. So we understood what are variables, what are the different data types, how to write identifiers, and overall how to write a variable. So again, we're going to define the data type that we'll be using, and then declare the identifier and initialize a value. So we already know how to do that. And in fact, that's part of your midterm examination as well. Or the assignment number 5 is also your midterm examination. Para madungagan ang yung score sa midterm. Especially if you're worried about not passing the score for part 1. So the assignment number 5 would be your part 2 for midterm. So if you want to watch replay, just click this link or copy this link right here. Or again, visit the channel that this one right here. So today we'll talk about working with variables. What do you mean by working with variables? So basically, we're going to use variables for output function and user input functions. So this time around, we are going to learn how to use variables in creating a more useful website. So mag-unsa man ang variable kundi nato gamiton, di ba? We already know how to write it, but how do we use it to make our website more useful? That's going to be our topic for today. So just a review, a variable is a portion of memory that stores data values that a program can manipulate. So from back in our siguro sa atong college algebra, we use variables to identify an unknown value. Let's say for example for Pythagorean theorem, siguro kana mo'y pinaka sikat nga use of variables in mathematics is the Pythagorean theorem that is used to compute the area of a triangle. Is that true? Sakto ba ni? That is in mathematics. So Pythagorean theorem is the a plus b equals c squared, something like that. Nalimot ako, basta something like this. So we don't know the values of each side of a triangle. Therefore, we're going to use variables. So in mathematics, we use letters most of the time, a, b, c, x, y, z, um, maybe something like that. But in programming, we can write whatever we want. We can set any identifier that we want. You can either use your name, you can use actual words, so long as you're not going to use katong mga predefined na identifiers like what we discussed last time. So it stores memory, stores data. Okay, portion of memory that stores data values. So again, it stores value only. It doesn't really store like actual data, like kanang for example mo-store ka pictures, mo-store ka og um, texts, mo-store ka og graphics or anything like that. You store, yeah, it's not gonna do that per se, but it will only store data value or data value. So for example, if you're trying to create a program that will compute the grade, then you're going to store those numbers that will be involved somewhere, and that's gonna be the variable. So it will only store value, not memory. So here, this is an example. Again, this is just a review. So this program will show the use of variables in programming. This program will compute and display the sum of 5 and 6. So we have two values here. and we need to store this somewhere. Store in the program, store so that we can use it in the program, and that's gonna be where we're going to save it on an actual variable. So since these are values that we'll be using for our program, we're going to we're going to store it as a variable. So first is we define the data type. We declare the variable, the identifier, and we initialize the value according to the algorithm. So since the program here is we're going to display the sum of 5 and 6, obviously we're going to initialize 5 and 6. However, if we'll say to compute and display the sum of, for example, dili ni, mingon ta nga sum of two numbers. Ana. So what do we initialize? Or do we initialize at all? Gipang turn off na po yung camera lagi tanan. Can you turn it on, guys? Just keep your cameras turned on. Just keep it on, guys. All right. Again, right now, it says here, compute and display the sum of 5 and 6. So that's why we initialize value of 5 and 6. But if we say compute and display the sum of two numbers, what are we going to do? Anyone?
I-initialize the answer.
Yes, pero initialize na to based sa example, ni-initialize ta of 5 and 6 because our program here says compute and display the sum of 5 and 6. However, if we will say compute and display the sum of two numbers, unsa ato ibuhaton dire sa ato ang variable? Do we initialize or not?
No, sir.
Dili ra, sir.
No need. It's because we don't know what the user will enter. So that's why we're not going to put an initialized value. We're just going to say int, and then let's say a, and then int, and then b. All right. So we're going to initialize only a value. Okay, we're going to initialize a value only if it's necessary, if it's part of the algorithm. But if it's not, we want we want actual variables, meaning anybody or the user can enter any value that they want. Then we don't necessarily have to do an initialization. So basically, this is a variable. And let's take a look on how we use variables in a program. Let me clear it up. So remember that we've created our variable a, which is 6, 5 rather, and then variable b, which is 6. And then for us to compute the sum, we have to store the sum somewhere. Para kinala to, since mo-produce man ta og value 5 plus 6, asa nato i-store ang value sa 5 plus 6. So we created another variable specifically for result. Now, how do we use variables for, or how do we work with variables in a program? This is an example. Here, we change the value, right? Wala ato. Okay, in the first part, this part right here, wala ta ni-initialize og value. Did we? Ni-initialize pa tag value for result?
Wala po, sir.
Wala,
Wala
sir.
pa. All right? So, it's because we don't know, mo gani na atong ginatry og compute og unsay value sa result based on adding 5 and 6. So, since we don't know, okay, ideally, we don't know the value. So, we just skip the initialization part. Next is, notice is we use the variable result in setting up the value. Since wala ta initialize of value, but we have to make sure that the value, the result, will be given its value on its own. So on the next page or the next line, we set the value that the value of result is going to be equals to A and B. That means whatever it is that the value of A and then B, we have to add them together so that we will get the value of result. Gets na yung idea? So for
Yes,
us
sir.
to
Yes,
be
yes,
able
sir.
to get the value of result, we just have to get the value of both A and B, and whatever it is that the value, if we're going to add them, then that's the value of the result. So notice we added A and then plus and then B. So same to kayo siya because we've already done this maybe hundreds of times ever since elementary. We've already added numbers a lot of times already. So this is something that we should be familiar already, and ganahan ako makasabot mo, how do we set the value for the result? So let me explain it again just to make sure. We know that we have an initialized value for A and B, and then for the result, we don't have any values yet. Now, we want to make sure that the result will get something. And to do so, we will add the values of A and B, and then as a result. Therefore, we will write result is equals to A plus B. Meaning, kung say value sa A, kung say value sa B, if we will add them together, that's the value of the result. So this time, since gi-set naman nato og gi-set naman ta og condition that the result is equals to the value of A plus B, therefore, nanay value ang ato ang result wala. In this area, in
Na.
this part, kaning giskwera nako. Nanay value or wala?
Na, sir.
Na,
sir.
Nana. Nana, we can expect that Nana, it's because A is 5, B is 6, dili man unknown. Dili
B
man
is
unknown ang A o B. We have value for A and B. Therefore, if we're going to add them together, we can expect a result. So since not a result, that means we can do whatever we want with the results. In this case, we displayed it. Para unsa gito ng see out yan eh?
Display, sir.
Yeah, display or output. Okay? So since naanay value ang atong result, we're able to do whatever we want. So in this case, we just output the value of result. So let's try that one. Let me open up Dev C++ real quick. Okay, hold on. Naka-open pa rin ako ang mga apps. Let me close it real quick. Let me save this and close. Okay, let me sign it out real quick. Okay. So let's try working on this one. Let's see it. So we'll open up the C++, file, new, source, I'm sorry, not source, but project, file, new, and then project, let's say variables. My apologies if medyo nailanga sa background na ay construction sa tapad sa balay, sa akong room rather. Okay, so let's start. Include IO stream using namespace. I'm hoping everybody's already mastered yun. Already kanang well-versed when it comes to writing the initial value. Rather, mga initial scripts for our C++. So this is something that you should all you should all good at right now, writing the initial scripts. So first is we're going to declare a value. So this time, for practice lang sa, we're going to initialize the value. We're going to add, or we're going to, let's say, multiply. We're going to get the product of two numbers. All right. So let's say, for example, our first number is, let's say, 12, and then let's have another variable. Let's save a value of, let's say, 40. Okay. So ito happen na, for example, the exam mo sa mathematics and wala kay calculator dala pero nakabalo ka mo program. So we're just going to create a program using C++. Obviously, that's not true, but you know. All right. And then for us to get the product, we have to save it somewhere, ba? So let's create another variable. This time, let's call it product or prod. And then, do we initialize? Initialize ba itong value? Dili.
Dili pa, sir.
Yeah, wapang takabalon sa value, diba? So this time, we're going to, since we don't know the value for our product, we have to compute it. So that's why we will write prod, is equals to, again, since this is multiplication, unsa siguro? Unsa to i-multiply para makuha nato ang product?
Ag 12
Number
ug
1
40,
of
sir.
Ang number
Num 1, num 2.
Num1 and num2. Now, unsay ato ibutang sa tunga? Multiplication man. What do you think? What do you think, guys?
katong
X
plus.
asterisk. Okay, so the asterisk is
Sir,
multiplication. We'll discuss it later on. We'll discuss later on. So we already have a value for num1. We already have value for num2, which is 12 and 40 respectively. But we don't have value for our product just yet, for our product. So for us to get the value of our product, since this is multiplication, we're going to multiply num1 and num2, and whatever it is that the result, it will be saved in the product. So it's very easy. It's not going to be it's not going to be hard when it comes to this kind of variable, using variable this way. And then since nanabay value atong product,
wala pa sir.
Na sir.
dito na lang natin para sa maglibot. Alright. Nanabay value?
Na
Yes,
What do you
sir.
think the value for our product is the value of num1 multiplied to num2? So let's check. So we can do whatever, since nanay value ang atong product, we can do whatever we want. So since the only function that we know so far is output, so we will use output, and then let's say product, and then save. And let me save it right here. And then execute, compile, and run. All right, it says here that the product is 480. All right. So we can change the number. Let's say what if kanang dagko jud kay mga numbers na wa kabalon sa result. So we're going to multiply these numbers, and that's going to be the same thing if we're going to execute and run. Oh no, not responding. Okay, compile and run. You should be able to get the result. Okay, so it says here it's 434862212. Okay, so using variables, we don't necessarily have to code everything ourselves. We just have to change the value and then run, and then that's it. The value for num1 and num2. So basically, that's how variables are used. We can use it to manipulate the program as you develop it. So the main use of variables is for you to be able to manipulate the value that you'll be using for your program para may mo siyang more useful, di ba? Do you think this program or these uses of variables make our program useful? Mas useful siya, di ba? Compared to una na tong mga program that we were only able to display text and then that's it. This time we're able to compute mathematical equations. Although it's still not the advanced ones, but we'll get there. Okay, so let's proceed. Oh no. So in this, result is equals to of x. So whatever the sum of d, that's the value. Because every search of C have already done this last time. Is working with variables? May you open? Yeah, that's right. So we've already discussed this last time. We have data type, identifier, and then the value, or data type and then identifier only. And then always make sure to end each variable with a semicolon. So in our past discussions, we learned about the standard output stream, the cout. Okay, so right now that's the only thing that we know about C++ programming is the cout, the only function so far. And how we use it to display simple text on the screen. However, the cout can also be used to display the value of any variables. To do so, type cout followed by the double, or let's say the output operator. The output operator is kanang duha ka open angle brackets, and then the variable name. So in this example, just like what we did here, so to use cout to display the value of a variable, we'll write cout, and then the output operator, and then the variable name. So what's the difference between this and displaying a text, let's say hello world on the screen? Unsa na to pagsulat ang hello world? For example, hello world lang. Okay, we will write cout, and then ito sunod. Again, we're trying to display hello world on the screen. And then we'll try to compare. Okay, double quotation. If we're going to display texts or strings, we're going to use double quotation. And then let's say, hello world. Okay, so do you see the difference between displaying a text and displaying a variable? Do you see the difference?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if we're just going to display texts only, then we have to enclose it with double quotation. But if we're going to display a value, we just have to write the variable name directly. Okay, so take note of that. Now, what about if we're going to combine text and variables? We'll discuss it in a moment. So this is an example. So since we're trying to display the value of first name variable, then we just have to write cout and then open, let's say output operator, and then first name, and then this displays the value of the variable first name, which is Bruce in this case. So another example. So we have three variables here. We have Bruce, and then banner, and then age. So first name Bruce, last name banner, age 50. We're going to display all of them. So we're going to use the cout function, and then output operator, and then we write the variable name directly. Then we can separate them with end line. Para unsa kay ito ni? Para unsa kay purpose ani nila? Just a review.
And dili magtapos, sir.
Line break.
Para mo end.
Okay, that's right. So if napata sa keyboard, we are trying to press enter, di ba? Press na to ang enter para mo next line. So that is called line break. So that's end L. Or another way to do this is to add a string and using that one, \n. Right? But the proper way is this one right here, but it would be totally up to you. Now, so do you have any question with output? So yun na kayong output, di ba? I don't think I have to explain it thoroughly because, again, literally the only thing that you're going to do is just type cout and then the output operator and then the variable name. Do you have any questions? Okay. If none, then let's proceed. User input. This time, we're going to store a value. Di ba? Kanina sa example is, sometimes we don't necessarily have to initialize a value to our variable. We want the user to write the value for it. So for example, mo gamatag calculator, dili pud siguro maayo nga magsigira ta og just like this. Every time nga mag-compute ta, i-input nato ang atong hilabtan ang codes, di ba? I don't think this is really practical calculator, di ba? So what happens is, what we want to do usually is we want the user to enter the value themselves. Para dili nato siging hilabtan ang code because not everybody's programmer. What if na mo gamit nga, let's say education, BS Ed, BEd, or let's say industrial technology or HM, dili sila kabalog C++ programming. How can they use this program without really digging into the codes? That's why we're going to use input function. We want the user to input value directly from the user interface. The user interface is kani. Itong black nga screen, this one right here. So we want our users to enter the value here, and then the moment that they click enter, then magawas ang iyang value. So that is where the user input function comes in. So the user input is just another function that we can use for our program. It is still part of the IO stream. Remember, if you can remember, we we always have to include IO stream every time because IO is input and output. So the user input is used to make a more useful program with the use of C++ variables. We will learn how to apply the standard input stream on variables. This means we will allow the users to set values for the variables while the program is running. So again, since not everyone can change the codes, diba? Only us, the programmers, can change the codes. Now we still want the program to be user friendly or useful. That's why we will let the users enter the value while the program is running. For C++, the stream object defined to access the standard input is cin. Okay, take note, cin. And maybe you already know, not maybe, but obviously, we already know about cout. Okay, we already know about cout, which is for output. And remember, cin is for input. It's very easy to remember. Cin is a predefined variable that reads data from keyboard and stores the data to the declared variable. But again, sa itong button niya, magkuha siya og data coming from the user's keyboard. All right? So whatever it is that you enter on your keyboard, it will be the cin who will going to catch it or maybe fetch whatever it is that you enter on your keyboard. And then stores the data to the declared variable. To do so, type cin, of course, and then followed by the extraction operator. What is an extraction operator? This one right here. So that's the opposite of the output. And then the variable name. So kung ang output is musulatag inana, cout, and then ana, the cin is pabalin na pod. To the right na pod ang iyahang angle. And then we will write asa na variable nato siya i-save. All right? So the only difference is kanina asa tunga. So take note because bisag ako when I was still new to programming, dire ko perming masayo. Dire permin ako mabaylo na siya. So always remember cout is to the left, cin is to the right. Okay, you can do whatever you want para ma-remember na. All right? So example, we have a variable x, which is an integer. And for us to store a value for x, we have to write cin, and then extraction operator, and then save og unsa nga variable atong gamiton. In this case, we are going to save it to x. That means all the values that we will enter here, it will be saved to variable x. Nawala na po. I'm only seeing two people on their camera with their cameras on. All right, thank you. So again, the only thing that differs between the cin and cout is that cout will allow us to display the value of a variable. That means dapat ang variable na siya i-value gyud before nato siya i-output. But cin, we can use it to input values to the variable. As easy as that. The cout is to display the value of a variable. Cin is to store or save a value to our variable. So let's say, for example, this. We have two variables. We have one variable rather, which is int x. So variable x doesn't have any value yet because wala man nato siya wala man tani initialize og value. Now, on the next line, which is cn and then x, this will allow the user to input the value for variable x. That means if we're going to run this program and we use our keyboard to enter numbers, it will be stored in x. All right, so let's try. Let's try this one right here. So we will remove the values because we want the users to enter the value for both num1 and num2. All right, let's start easy na lang. Let's remove num1, the rest of the variables. And then first is we will let the user enter we will let the user know that they are about to enter a some kind of value. So we will use cout and let's say enter a number. Okay. And then once we already entered a number, what are we going to do? So button na to, if the user enter a number, so na to
Sin.
okay. Cin, and then extraction operator, which is angle to the right, two of them. And then, sa sunod,
Enter a number.
in this case. Yeah, we want to save it here. So after the extraction operator, sa sunod
Num1.
na
Num1, sir. Num1.
one. All right. So the difference is this: the cin and then extractor. We are going to in this part right here, atong ibutang og asa nato siya i-save. Asa nga variable nato i-save ug unsa atong gi-enter after this line. So after this, once we already stored it in our variable, nanay value ang atong variable after ani? Nanay wala.
Nana,
Ang
sir.
user may mukha na, sir.
Yes. Once the user
Mag-string pa
entered a number. Once the user entered a number, so let's say for example, they enter siya dire og 100. Okay? Pag click nag-enter, ni sunod nga line is cin, saved it to num1. Do you think our num1, variable num1 has a value now? Nana, wala.
Na, sir.
Okay.
Nana,
Naa
sir.
na. Therefore,
sir.
since naa naman, we can do whatever we want for that value. So we can either display it, let's say for example, cout, and then num1. Okay, so in this part right here, we input a value. Sorry, we write num1 to store the value, and then the cout is to display a value. So if we're going to save this and then execute, right? So here we will enter any number that we want. Let's say we enter taog 500. May tagmadawat nato dirang adlaw. All right? And it says here 500 as well. That means our variable was able to go and fetch a value coming from the cn function, coming from the user. That is why that is the function of cn. Whatever it is that we type, the cn function will fetch it and save it to the variable na atong giset. All right? So another example, let's try it again. Execute, let's enter any other number. Let's say kana random numbers ra jud, and then enter, and then it will also display the same random numbers that we entered using cn. Okay, so this time around our program is a little more useful. It's because we don't necessarily have to change the value directly to our codes. We just have to change the input, whatever it is that we will input while the program is actually running. Di natakin lang nga hilabtan nato atong code para ma-change nato ang value. So that's the good thing about variables. Okay, Gideon, go ahead.
Sir, what if ang system nato is pa-inputo nato og name ang user, sir? Like, what's your name, ano ba daw? What's your last name? What's your middle name?
All right. Okay, that's good. So I guess we'll get to that, but just to give you an idea, remember, okay, so that's a good question. What if name, okay? What if text? So first of all, unsa nga variable atong gamiton? What data type rather are we going to use? Let's say name, first name. Unsa nga data type atong gamiton?
String, sir.
String, sir.
Right?
String.
So, okay, let's try that. Okay, you might want to take a screenshot now if kinahan mo because I'm going to erase it. We'll use names. All right? So, kung erase na nako ni siya, so let's try using string. And unsa gito una natong buhaton so that we can use string values. Una natong buhaton. Remember. No. Before para tam kagamit og string
Include string,
and
sir.
values.
Include, sir.
What is
Include
the very
string.
first thing? Ato. All right? Ayaw kalimot, include, and then string. Right? So this time around, we'll be able to use string properly, especially if nagkuha na nga mga values. So let's say string f name, meaning first name, and then all right. So first, so nanatay variable string, and then we are trying to get a value for. Actually, this is a little more advanced, but before the string na lang, ano lang, because string nakaibuhaton additional for string, and let's do it step by step. So instead of string, character na lang sa, okay? Character na lang sa. We'll proceed with string later on. So character, so char, and then let's say m name, meaning middle name. We'll proceed with string later on. So we've created a variable using char data type, and then we call it mname. That's our identifier. So basically, middle name, kumbaga. So first thing that we're going to do is we will to make sure that our program is as useful as possible, as user friendly rather. We will let the user know first. Dapat pabalo na to atong mga user what they are about to do. So we're going to use the cout function, and then basically this is just to let the user know what they are about to do. So enter your middle, dili siya middle name, but middle initial name. Ha?
Initial lagay.
Gani. I was about to change it. Sakto bang spelling na hog initial? Okay, let me put an underscore. Initial. Mo yung spelling initial? Hein?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
That's right. Okay. I've been doing programming a lot and graphics, and I don't know how to spell things already. All right, so enter your middle initial. Okay, and then close that. All right. Once the user entered their middle initial, unsa itong sunod nga buhaton?
CN, sir.
CN.
CN, and then angle to the right. Remember, to the right na siya. And then M underscore
initial.
initial. All right. So make sure to enter the exact variable of asa na to i-save. Make sure nga na same siya og spelling, same everything. And remember, C++ is case-sensitive programming language. That means it will matter a lot on the initials. I'm sorry, on the if it's going to be capital letters or not. Okay. So since all of these are small or lowercase, then make sure to write it this way as well. All right. So this time, nanay value, if mo enter na ang user sa ilang initial, middle initial, nabatay value, nanabay value ang ato ang m initial nga variable.
Na.
Na. Therefore, we can
Na.
do whatever we want. So we can either display it, so cout, and then m initial, and then return 0. That means we are already at the end of the program. Let's save that and then compile and run. Okay. So it says here, enter your middle initial. So my middle initial is R. So it says here, the moment that I click enter, it also displays R. This is coming from the variable. So let's try again. Let's enter any other letters. And remember, nga nung char atong gamiton for middle initial?
Kay usara man na iyahang letter.
Usara ang letter.
So the
Character
char
naman
can only, or character can only store one single object or single value. Meaning, usara siya ka digit, usara siya ka letter, usara siya ka symbol, usara siya ka character. That's why it's called character. So let's say kana. But it also does the same thing. Now, as for the string, why is it nga what tanipadayon? Because doing strings will require us to do additional things, and we'll do that later on. So for the meantime, let's proceed, okay? So far, do you get the idea on how to use cin?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yeah. So we'll write the cin coming followed by an extraction operator, and then write the variable og asa nato i-save. For example, daghan na kay kang mga variable here in num1. Daghan kang variables. You have to make sure that you're able to address or just write the variable name directly. Right? Okay. Now, this is the case why katong string ganina I stopped working on string because I have to explain this to you first. So what if we'll be using string? We know that strings have multiple letters. We can store multiple letters, multiple characters, multiple words. But the problem with using string is that it will only store one word only if we're going to use cin function. Okay, so if we're only going to store, if we're going to use string this way, cin, ang yang store lang is first word ra. The rest would be canceled out. Hold on. Oh no. All right. So let's try. What do you mean by that? So let's proceed with string now. So let's go back. Let me write. Oops. Include string. All right. The reason why wala kang ipadahin ganina is because we have to do something for string. So let me erase all of these. All right. Let's say, for example, we're going to enter our name, full name. So we're going to create our variable. Let's say string, and then f name, or full name na lang, full name. All right. So first, if you want the user to enter their full name, that means first name, last name, etc. So let's use cout function still, and then enter your. For the meantime, let's full. Full name. Then after that, cin, diba? Cin, and then say variable na ito iba lang dire?
Full name.
Okay, full name. All right, because that is the name of our variable. So now that we have a value for our full name, we're going to display it. So same thing, cout, and then full name. Okay, so let's try. Let's save. Let's compile and run. So, okay, enter your full name. Let's try entering our first name only. Let's say Julius. Okay, so the moment that I click enter, the word Julius will be stored using cin, will be stored to our full name variable, and it will display it using cout. Just like that. Okay, so it's working fine. It's working perfectly fine. However, let's try it again. Let's close it, execute, compile, and run. This time around, we are going to enter our full name, an actual full name. So my name is Julius Publico. And notice that I separated my first name and last name with space. I guess that's how everybody write their name, diba? You write your first name first,
Yes, sir.
and then space, and your last name. What do you think is gonna happen? Let's try to click enter.
Mawala siya.
Ang iyang
Sorry,
store
masulat,
is
sir.
Hindi
Julius
siya pwede
na ang
in-ignite
iyang
space, sir.
Ay, sana.
Hindi
Please.
siya pwede i-space.
Yes.
Usara din siya
Using
ma-enter.
cin. Okay. The problem with using cin, muna siya usa ka disadvantage of using cin in fetching data is that if makita gani siya og space, magtuo na siya nga oy humana. Murag himuon niya if the compiler sees a space, it will trigger a termination. What do you mean by terminate? I-terminate niya ang kuan ba, ang flow sa function. Kung makita siya og space, kaingon siya nga oy humana, wala na isumpay. Nana ba? So every time makita siya og space, iyang putlon. Therefore, Julius ra ang iyang fetch, not the entire Julius Publico. Now, how to fix that? How do we make sure nga we're able to fetch everything? Okay? There are no logical kuan. Wala na ilaing buhatan ana, but we're going to use one or another way aside from cin, and that is called
Getline.
That's right. That is called getline. Nana ka idea kinsa to nagsulti?
Ato, sir.
Religion, sir.
Gideon. Nana ka idea ani? Gideon.
IT o sa una, sir, sa lumagite niya. Java lang to mong gamit.
Okay. All right. So this is good. Na ko ikapareha dayan na mo tabang-tabang o mahimong source sa mga classmates. Kidding. All right. Getline. Getline is another predefined variable, just like cn, but getline will allow us to fetch the entirety of whatever it is that we entered. So bisag unsa man gani atong gi-enter on our keyboard, everything, including the spaces, including multiple words, or however long it is, it will be together, be caught up, or will be fetched and then save it on our variable. So again, getLine is just another predefined variable for input. So cn is for one word, kung tag sara without terminators, but getLine is for specifically, this is very useful for string, and cn is for any other data types like integer, float, double, etc. So long as it doesn't have any terminations or terminators on it. Again, terminator is kanabang murabag makakos siya para ma-stop ang flow. So we will use getLine, especially if we'll be using string or let's say data that will require multiple spaces or multiple, yun na ba, magamit o multiple words, something like that, we will use getLine. Now, how to use getLine? In C++, all right, but basically getLine allows multiple words as string value. So usahon niya tanan nga mga words nga imong gi-enter on your keyboard, and then it will be let's say mura siya giyang i-compile so that it will be saved together, all together on the variable. So how to do so? First is we'll write the word getLine and then open and close parenthesis and then cin. Okay, mogamit ra gyapon tag cin because we're trying to access the input function coming from the IO stream na library. All right. So getLine, cin, comma, and then variable name. Di ba? Kung ang cin ganina is, okay, let me erase all of these. Kung ang cin is ana, and then variable name. For getLine, we will write getLine, open and close parentheses, and then cin, comma, all right, cin, and then comma, and then the variable name. All right, just go lang. Take note of the difference between using cin and getLine. So cin, and then extraction operator, and variable name. For getLine, we will write getLine, open and close parentheses, cin upon, comma, and then variable. So I know it's a little more complicated, but it's not going to be very hard. So let's try. So instead of using cin for us to fetch the entire full name, sa itong buhaton?
Getline.
Okay, getLine,
Open
Open
parentheses,
close.
sir.
open
Open
parenthesis,
close. cin,
and then
comma,
variable name. Sa variable name na to
identifier,
dire.
full name.
Full.
All right. Let's try. Let's save that and then compile and run.
Sakto na, sir.
Okay, it should. All right. Let's try. Okay, my name is Julius Publico. Let's try. Then it is able to go and fetch the entire word. So let's try to add more. Sumana. Kanang daghanon dyan na to. So instead of full name, butang na to. Negros Oriental State University Bais Campus. Okay, daghan na kayo na nga word, Charo. Enter, and then it will fetch the entire thing. Negros Oriental State University Bais Campus. All right, so that's the exception. If you'll be working with string, and obviously you'll be working with multiple words na yung gamiton, you'll be using the getLine instead of cin. Okay? All right. So that's it. That's for fetching multiple words using getLine. Anthony, go ahead. All right, that's good. Actually, that's the next topic here. So Thank you, Anthony. More on output. So you can display values of multiple variables. All right. To do so, simply add mo add ra tag inani, and then the second identifier after the first identifier. So for example, just like what Anthony mentioned, what if multiple ang atong input? Unsa na to siya pag-display og usara? So here, string first name Julius, that's the first value, and then string last name publico, that's the second value. How do we? It's the same thing. We will use cin or getLine for input if we want the user to input themselves. But to output them, we will use same thing cout. But if we want to combine first name and last name or multiple variables, we just have to add this. Kani. So mag-combine na taog value for both first name, which is this, and last name, which is this. We just have to add this one right here in between. Okay? So let's try. So string, let's say first name, that's our first variable. String last name, that's our second variable. Kanilang sang dua. And then we will let the user, let's say, enter your first name. Okay. So after the user entered the first name, what's itong button? You say, okay. Okay. So since sometimes ang first name is daghan, naiban nga daghag first name, let's say, kinsa man makita na rin daghag first name. Rene Angelo, Jane Chris, kinsa pa man, Sarah, Nila Mil, alright? So naay mga people nga naay multiple names. So unsa itong mas maayong buhaton?
Jetline, sir.
Use getLine. Right? getLine, and then cin, and then since we want to save it on our first name, we will use first name. All right, that's it. Okay. This time, after this line, nanay value nga to ang string first name. Next step is, command na punta sa user, to enter your last name na pod. Diba? Step-by-step procedure, just like algorithm. And then, getLine. We will still getLine because I think na apoy mga apelyido nga multiple words, diba? Murag na like De La Cruz. Kana, De Leon. Alright? So we'll still use getLine to make sure. Cin, and then we will save it to last name. So magbinag sa ta. First is we entered on our first name, we save it on our first name variable, and then next is we display a command na pod to enter the last name, and then the user will input it on the last name variable as well. And now na natay value for both our first name and last name, we can do whatever we want. And this time we'll try to combine them together. So how to combine? So we will use cout, and then the variable which is first name, and then unsang gyud nato pag-combine directly?
Katong maoras.
Ako nakita mo. Abilia, isultir Abilia. Sige ka na. Alright. Nalingaw ko sa iyang ana.
Right, still.
Open angle bracket.
Open angle bracket. No, kanilang, since we are trying to combine, since we're still using output magyapon. So, for us to combine multiple variables, again, remember this one is an output operator. So we will use this to combine first name and last name. But here's a catch. Something will happen, and we don't really want it to happen. Let's see what I mean. So let's save that and let's try to run. Okay, let's say, ngitan paglain, can say random, see, kan pinakauna ni display, Anthony. First name is Anthony. Enter. The moment that you click enter, it will also ask enter your last name. Let's say Rosales. Now, the moment that we click enter again, it will combine both Anthony and Rosales all together. But what you have, sa may inyong na-notice?
Butapos, sir.
Wala space.
Tapos, wala space. It's because on our output, ato mag-combine directly. Wala man tani add og space. So we have to make sure na para ma-separate siya og space, unay space in between, we have to include the space pod. That means on our code, we have to add a space on it. And what do you think we should do para mabutangan siya og space?
Tong and balik na sa kita.
It's okay. It's okay. Here, we're going to use concatenation. Wala na akong gibutang. Alright. Wala na akong nabutang diri, but it's called concatenation. Concatenation. What do you mean by concatenation? But basically combining, in programming terms, terminologies, concatenation is combining strings and values of variable. We are going to combine a string or strings with the variable. So here's how we're going to do it. So remember, ang difference between displaying hello world or variable. Unsa ito difference if we're going to display hello world nga text and a variable? Unsa one main
Naa siya
difference?
po. Sa babaw.
Naa siya ay double quote. Just like this. Kana. So meaning, we can add a string. So basically, we can combine strings and variables for us to be able to display it all together. So remember, going back, for us to display, let's say, gamataglain nga si out dere, for us to display hello world, ana man, ibutang nato og double quote. So let's try to, kana, basta di ba inaningon man? I'm not going to run it, but I would like to check if everyone agree. This is how we write strings. Oh,
Yes, sir.
all right.
Yes, sir.
So remember, since this is how we write strings, unsa na to pag-add? Unsa na to pag-add of space for our first one?
Butangan ako.
Alright, bubutang lang taog string that only includes a space. Okay, magbutang taog string that only includes a space. So how are we going to do that? Here it is. First, di ba, remember that every time that we're going to combine two values, we're going to use this. It's also the same case if we're going to combine strings and variables. Again, it's called concatenation. Let me write it here. Concatenation. Concatenation is a term, programming term for combining strings and variable values. So again, para mabutang na itong space between first name and last name, we're going to concatenate a string and variable. So how to do so? Na, add taog double quote. Then we will add a space. Right? So kaning nga space mo na siya katong mag-separate between the first name and last name. Okay? And then after the space, we're going to add another double quote. So again, let's review. So remember that we will use output operator for us to combine two values. It's the same thing. We have values here, a string here. For us to combine this and this, we have to add this. Diba? Now, what if for us to combine this space and this space right here, we also have to add that one. Make sense ba? Nag-gets ba ang idea? So including text, including strings, including variables, we have to always add this in between them, regardless if it's going to be a variable or a string. All right, let's try. Let's save that. Let's compile and run. Lain na pod. Okay, enter your first name. Let's see, Amici. First name, last name is Cacho. All right. The moment that we click enter, na siya Michi space Cacho. Asa gani gikan ang space? Asa na to siya gikan? Asa itong gibuhat ani?
Concatenation.
All right.
Gibuhat
Concatenating a string. So basically, this space is a string. Diba? Ang string is a group of kuan na siya. If we're going back to the definition of string is either group of text, it could be either just one or multiple. Or it could be either text or any characters or symbols. Basically, that's a string. So, okay, go ahead, Gideon.
So, what if kung sa kaning sa see out first name dayong napakoy last name dayong address, sir? Usaw na?
Okay, all right. It's also the same thing. Gamar gyapon ta og see out. Gamar gyapon tag another get line na pod or input and
Ay,
output
ang-
function.
Mang middle initial day, sir, po ba?
Okay, so let's try that. So after the first name, we will add another C out here. We'll create our variable first. So since it's middle initial, we'll try to use char or car para dili kayo siya lonely. And let's call it middle initial. Middle na lang kay murag taas ka yung type. Sige na lang, harang initial. Alright, middle underscore, middle initial. So after the first name, we will let the user enter your middle initial. And then, since usa ra man ka letter atong gi-expect sa itong gamiton, what's the best thing to use?
Katong charter.
CN. All right, and then let's say the two middle initial. Okay, since mag-expect naman tago sa ka-letter, might as well just use the CN. We can still use getLine, but we'll try to make our program as efficient as possible. So what's the best thing to use? Always use what's the best thing yun. Ano? So since we're only expecting one letter, so might as well use CN. So now na natay value for our middle initial here. What do you think we should do? So we know that nagyapoy space between the first name and middle initial, right? And then
Yes, sir.
middle initial and last name nagyapon siya space. So same thing, same concept ane.
Tugang nila,
Separate
sir.
space. Dungagan na po nato dere o another output operator, and then middle initial, and then we're going to add another output operator for the space na pod. All right? Make sure nga dibutan po kag space po dire kay what if gatapad ra po imong double quote, walay sulod ang imong string. So we will add a space to make sure. So let's try that. Let's save and then let's execute, compile and run. So lain na pod si okay, pasunuron rin ako ni nasa taas. Miguel. Unsay middle initial ni Miguel? Miguel
R, sir.
R?
Oo, sir.
Okay. So click enter and then middle initial R. Let's enter R. And then last name is Tenebro. Agoy. Tayo kog and hold on. Sab. Try again. Now Miguel R. Wait middle initial. Middle initial. Sa pong spelling?
Sakto raman, sir.
Di na po may space.
Okay
Yeah, I
raman na
think
gani.
this is just something. There's something wrong with my compiler. Okay, so let's try. Let me try again. Okay, that's that Julio R. Automatic siya
Mo
mo
Mo pa initabo sa ko, sir. Gagama ko, sir. Diretso ra
mo
siya.
so I think this.
Oo.
Okay, let me. Right now, I can't. Dili na ako make sense nga mo inana siya. Dapat yang one. Ano ito yung buhaton? Wait maybe I have to research. Maybe there's something wrong with this, or maybe there's something that we can fix. But so far, dapat inano yun to. Madali lang ha. Let's save. Initial char. Okay, let's try to use CN lang sa. Let's say mugamatag sa kakuan. Let's see if this will do anything. Char. I-terminate man ako. See out that line. Ano na lang dyan. Sige, getline. Try na to getline na lang. Try na to if getline. I'm not really sure what that means. Pero let's try. Middle initial. Parang po kayo experience ano nga error.
Right semicolon.
Get line, middle, initial. Get line, C, middle. Okay, this is only for string, so we'll change this to string na pod. So ano na lang. So I'm not sure. I still have to research so that I will be able to give you an explanation about that. I have to research about char. That's the reason why not all programmers use char, or char is not something that we use a lot of times because of input problems. But let's try. Julius R. Okay, I think it's a problem on the char. I'll research on that so I can give you an explanation, just like that. Right. So for the
Sir,
meantime,
sila yung underscore, sir.
ang unsay underscore ang.
Ang middle initial.
I know it doesn't really matter. It's because, di ba kita yung bahala kung sa itong gamiton nga.
Makita mo yan na code, sir. Kaya may
Ha?
kanang sa coding, sir. Kaya screen tayo.
Amo screenshot. Okay, later lang. O, ato sa kumanon. I will let you screenshot before proceed. Ha? All right. So notice that we're able to write both the first name, middle initial, and last name. Pero middle initial, for some reason, it let us use string instead of char. So if that's the case, if ang char dili mo gamit or ang char dili mo gamit sa inyo, then use string. Bisag usa ka letter, it can still be considered string man pod. So unsay kulang?
Boss.
So we have Julius R. Publico. Dapat naikulang, di ba? Ang R dapat na period.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Alright. So how to fix that? Saan na ito napabutan?
Sa C out, sir. But
Sa C
kanina
out.
very
All right, middle initial. So before, in this part right here, let's add a period and then space, diba? So that it will automatically be added. Again, si ko na pod. Kitsa, Mariali. Ano sa middle initial ni Mariali?
G, sir.
G. Okay. G. Bustamante sa, putol man gud na diri. Alright. So the moment that we click enter, na siya Mariali G. Bustamante. Alright. So although we're able to display it like that, it's still not very user-friendly. So maybe we can let it say, hi, my name is. Okay. So we will add the word, hi, my name is. My name is, and then the rest. How do we do that? So nato nga ma-add ni siya nga text, nga string.
isumpay sa C out, sir.
Okay, see out before
Yun
the
na sa first name.
All right. So we will add, since this is a string, unsay una natong i-type?
No. C out ka ng
See
bracket
out
ka ng
na yun.
triangle. Isa na. Yung katong quotation,
Okay, double quote.
yung my name is
Hi, my name is, and then space, and then after the quotation, we'll add kana output extractor. So ang kana makita tanan nga codes. Dili makita tanan codes window. Walay wrap. Fortunately, walay wrap. So mag-scroll ta tanan makita kana. Okay, so we have C out and then the output operator and then a string. Again, a string must always be included inside or must be enclosed with double quote. And then for variable name or for variable values, don't have to enclose with anything. Just write the variable name directly. But to combine both of them, make sure to add in two open angle brackets. Bisan pag space ra gani butangan jud gyapon nag separator. So hi, my name is, and then first name space, middle initial, period, space, and then last name, and that's it. So let's save that and let's reload. And I put si Bartolome. Unsa middle initial ni Bartolome?
R.
R. Okay. And then last name is Berna. Okay? The moment that we click enter, it's
Ito ang
okay.
madilim, sir.
Hi, my name is Bartolome. It's okay. It's okay. Hi, my name is Bartolome. So in this way, we're able to make our program a little more useful, diba? Mas useful na ba itong program?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. Although it's still very basic, but that's the ngunit sana that's the general idea of this. That's the purpose of this course is to get the basic understanding of programming. Although basic ra kaya nga program, but we're able to make it work. All right. So what if butangan po natong age? All right. One last thing is let's add another string. Let's call it int. Then let's call it age, or we'll use int because this is age. And then here we'll add another input and output function. Cout, then enter your age. Enter your age. And after that, we're going to save it to int. So since this is int, I think we'll be able to use cin this time. I'm not sure if napagyapi problema. And let's save it to age. Let's try. I think we should be able to use cin this time since we're only dealing with numbers. And then here, ganahan ko nga mubutan siya, hi, my name is, and then I am years old. All right. Anyone, please help me how to write it. How do we add I am? Dali.
I-kuan sir
Ano
gitong
ganda?
kuan sir age diya.
Okay, double quote, double angle bracket, and then double quote na pod, and then we'll add a period para proper. We'll add a period first, and then space, I am, and then space na pod, double quote. Okay? And then we will add the value of our age. Do you still follow,
Okay.
guys? Do
Yes,
you
sir.
follow?
Yes, sir.
Good. Age, since age is a variable, we don't have to enclose it with anything. Just add the double, or just write the variable directly. Okay. So after the age, it will say years old. So another string. Therefore, we'll add two quotations upon space years.
Years old.
All right. Let's try. Let's save that. Compile and run. Kinsa na itong gamitong example? Si Naila Mil. Is it okay, Naila Mil, if I'm going to use the example? What is your middle initial? Wala. I think wala siya. Si Jane Chris. That's why I want you to turn on your cameras, guys, so I can see if naaba wala. Grabe mo. Jane Chris, ang sa middle initial, Jane Chris?
F, sir.
Yeah. All right. And then, what's yung last name? Putulman, Kabal.
Kabalkinto.
Kabal Kinto. Putol man good sa akong screen. Kabal. Ana.
Ah,
Right. And then enter your age. Would you mind sharing out your age, Miss Jane Chris?
19.
19. All right. So the moment that we click enter, we should be able to see, hi, my name is Jane Chris F. Cabal Quinto. I am 19 years old. Okay. So we're able to manipulate our program by just concatenating values coming from our variables. Do you have any questions?
None, sir.
Okay.
None, sir.
All right. That's good. Let's proceed then. Okay. Medyo bye-bye pa ni. So practice activity, we're not going to do this anymore because basically these practice activities we already covered it. So let's ask na lang, practice lang ta. So write a program that display the user's first name. Okay, so we're not going to do that since we've already done it. Basically, we're going to use string, first name, and then first whatever it is that you want as your value. So this is an example. Miguel, go ahead.
Sir, pwede kong mo-screenshot akong sir,
Ay,
example,
oh.
sir.
Yeah. Okay, tara guys, screenshot mo, dali.
Pwede ba, kwan, sir, kay di maklaro?
Make sure nakakuan mo kana bang if you're using phone, naka full screen ang ako ang screen and then naka landscape. I-auto rotate yung phone. Sige, let me okay, pwede mo din yung i-post na di ay. Na. May tabo magud kay maputol diri nga part. Okay. Basta kabalo na mo after sa return 0 na ay kani opposite aning close angle bracket. Alright, okay na? Proceed.
Okay na, sir. Thank you.
Program to. Don't worry, gina-upload man po na ako ning kani. Ay, wala man rin sakto. Meron po ni mo take og dyan mag-screenshot yun. Okay, although I am going to upload this files sa dili mo rin include ang upan. So, write a program that display the user's first name, last name, and age. So, same thing, pareha gyapon, just like that, just like what we've been doing here. Okay, so that's it for today. Dali ra kaayo. And then on our next meeting, we will actually, I think napatay time. Hold on. Let me see if taas ba ang slide. Sayang po kayo, napatay pila ka takabo 2 hours. Let me see if taas ba ang slide para next na klase. Kadali. Pero our next, di ba kay katong nakoy gisan nga link sa atong GC nga dito tanan nga dito na ko i-upload tanan nga mga presentation files. Then inyo itong i-visit rin nyo every now and then katong link and then all of the files. Wala akong ba na nalimot ako. Saan siya kayo ba? Sure. Okay. Don't worry, I'll upload it soon then. After this class, i-upload na ako tanan. So let's check. Our next topic would be about using arithmetic operators. So ganina nakatry ta og compute og number. So on our next topic is we're going to ganina ni add ra matag multiply. We're going to learn how to add, how to multiply, how to basically the rest of the programming language. So if you want to learn in advance, next meeting na lang kay medyo taas ang iyang slides. So it will not we can't do this in just half an hour. So if you want to learn in advance, I'm going to upload this as well. So basically, the arithmetic operators includes sum, difference, product, modulo, increment, decrement, and then quotient. So this would be our next topic where we're going to create an actual calculator.
Sir, no gigamaan
Right.
niya. Mo error sa times ako na isa nimo tong kwan, sir.
Very good. Okay, you can send it to me. I'll see what I can do. And then for the rest, for those nga wala pa, obviously, si Gideon to siguro nakaagama in advance because na siya knowledge gamay ani. So for the rest, that will be on our next meeting. That will be next week. We're going to do arithmetic operators in C++ program.
Okay, sir.
Right? Do you have any questions?
And sir,
None.
Okay.
Answer.
So for your assignment, here's what you're going to do. I'm sorry, na any question? Wala. Okay, wala. For your assignment, write a program that displays the details of your favorite book. Okay, follow the guide below. So you should be able to enter the book title, name of the author or authors, date or year of publication, name of publisher, and then state which country of origin, and then the price. Okay, so the reason why ako nang gibuhat og ginana, it's because you'll notice that it will involve different data types. So book title, obviously that's a string. Date, year of publication, maybe you can use a string as well. But for the price, it's gonna be a float. Basically, multiple na data types na atong gamiton. Therefore, this would be a very good example on how to practice our knowledge with working with variables. So example, this is my old favorite book. Sa una, karadil na. Book title, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Name of author, J.K. Rowling. Date or year of publication, July 8, 2000. Name of publisher, Bloomsbury Publishing Place. Country of origin, United Kingdom, and price is 1,998. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to go to Google, go to the web, search for first of all, you need to, dapat i-determine sa ninyo kung sa inyong ganahan nga book. Think of it now. Kung sa inyong ganahan book. If naa, pero wala, just Google any books na lang. If wala mo yung favorite nga book. But if you have, Google it out yun. Research for the name of the author, the publication date or year, okay lang, name of publisher, country, and price. So you should be able to do it this way. That means, naani siya nga word, and then it should be ganing multiple lines ba? So you already know how to do it in multiple lines? Anthony, go ahead. Sa kay kani kuan man ni siya, more on fantasy man gani nga book. I used to read Harry Potter books when I was younger. Na-read na ko nagikag book 1 about book 7 and katong novel nga katong last, katong Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. Kinsay Potterhead diri? Nala Potterhead diri or fan of Harry Potter? Kinsa to kabantay. Alright. So kuan siya 7 books, then ang ika-8 is script lang na siya sa Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. Nabasa na ako siya 3 times. 3 times book 1 up to book 8. And my favorite was Harry Potter and Goblet of Fire. But that was when I was younger. Karon I don't really mind this kind of books na. Alright, so again, you're going to Google if you don't know, if you don't have any favorite books, so just Google lang. Pangitan mo random books. And then this one. So you should be able to write it vertically like na ay mga breakup lines. And you don't or get line, whatever it is, whatever necessary for you to be able to use input function. That means ang inyong pag-run is you're going, ang pag-run is first mangutan na book title, then enter book title. Click enter. Sunod na pod nga line, mangutan na po siya name of the author. Then you're going to enter the name of author. And then date of your publication. Nana ba? Same sa atong gibuhat ganina nga every line mangutana ang program. Same sa atong gibuhat ganina ba? Nagets ka ang idea?
Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
So every line, let's say book title, mangutana siya. Sunod, mangutana na po siya sa author. And then sunod, mangutana na po siya sa publication. Mangutana na po siya sa publisher. Antod, mahuman mo tanan. And then pinaka-last, after ni mo gi-enter ang price, mo display ni siya. Mo display ning summary. Okay? Just like what we did here. Sa to example, kani, if you run ito ni, the first thing that it's gonna do, it will ask for a name, for Julius, enter, then pag-click na to enter mo, tanap siya sa middle initial, let's say R, Publico, and then 27. And you will say, hi, my name is Julius R. Publico, I am 27 years old. Murabag na siya, summary at the end. I-display niya tanan. Rosales, go ahead. Sito ka same thing agapon, you're going to dapat magawa na tag-program ani, and then you just have to take a screenshot of your code, and then the output, make sure makita tanan ha, and then use it to attach it on our assignment through Google Classroom. So,
Okay,
screenshots
sir.
lang. And if possible guys, okay, usahay mong good screenshot, try na lang pag change ang file name, try change the file name harong hindi ko maglibog, inig-check na ko pa. Okay, usually, ang default ra nga file name. So if it's gonna be a code, try to change the file name to codes. And then if it's an output, tong kanayahang result, try to change the file name to output. Try lang, if makaya. Nato ni question o sa akin sa to. Ay ni-raise sa ilang hand, nawala ra kalit.
Sir, kana sana ipa, sir.
Deadline, okay. That will be sumad karong adlaw. So today's Wednesday. So the deadline is Wednesday, November 2nd. November the 2nd, 11:59. You can still submit afterwards, pero it will be tagged as late. So those who will be able to upload today up until the 2nd, before the deadline, it will be tagged as early submission. After that, it will be tagged as late submission. Nana deduction kung late na. Right? Do you have any questions? Any other questions? All right. If none, kindly turn on your cameras one last time. And if makita na niyo yung classmate, kindly take a screenshot. Okay, maybe it will take a lot of time. It will take some time for it to load here my end. Okay, ready? All right. Tesa ka-loading pang uban yun. Okay. All right, ready? 3, 2, 1, smile. Okay. All right. Thank you, guys. I'll see you on our next meeting. That will be next week. Balik na ta sa atong regular nga class, which is Wednesday, 9 a.m. Depende if wakoy lakaw, ha?
Okay, sir.
Thank you very much. Again, thank you for spending the class.
Thank you, sir.
Goodbye.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Pwede na po mga sir. Pwede na mga sir.
Bye-bye. Sige na. Pwede na.